Detective Jack Leon was exhausted because he had been working on a serial killer case. The media had dubbed the killer the Closet Monster. Jack believes that, based on the evidence found at the crime scenes, the killer breaks into the victims' houses when no one is home, and then he hides in a closet. He waits until the victim comes home and goes to bed. Then, when they are sleeping, he grabs a chair, sits at the end of the bed, and watches his victims as they sleep. Jack developed the theory about the killer watching the victims sleep because a chair was found at the end of the bed in each of the victims' bedrooms. Friends and family of the victims said you normally didn't find a chair at the end of the bed, and they said that the chairs were usually found in a different room than the bedroom. Then, after watching them for an indeterminate amount of time, the killer stabs them multiple times with a hunting knife that he brings with him. In a press conference, Jack's boss encouraged the citizens to check their closets before they went to bed. This is how the killer got the name the Closet Monster. So far, there had been 6 victims and 0 survivors. There had also been no arrests, and Jack had very little in the way of leads. Members of the media have speculated that the Closet Monster is a deranged maniac with a bloodlust that is so feverish he can't control himself. But Jack didn't think so. While the Closet Monster attacks were frenzied, he was careful and meticulous in the lead-up to the actual murder. Jack knew that the killer had not left any clues behind, and that takes some special planning and patience. Jack thought that the killer could be anyone.
Could be his neighbor, or the guy who runs the deli across from the police station. I could physically run into the Closet Monster on the street, and I wouldn't have any idea it was him.
It had been a few weeks since the last murder, and there were no leads to follow, so Jack had to start working on other cases. Just a few hours ago, he was assigned to the disappearance of 29-year-old Sarah Rogan. Sarah Rogan's disappearance smelled worse than a collision between a truck transporting rotting fish and a truck carrying expired mayonnaise on the hottest day of the year. Sarah was an accountant, and she was reported missing by her employer after she hadn't shown up for work for 2 days. Jack talked to Sarah's boss, and she said that she had spoken to Sarah's husband, 31-year-old Ashton Rogan. Sarah's boss relayed to Jack that Ashton told her that he hadn't seen Sarah for 4 days. Ashton claimed Sarah ran off with a guy who she had been having an affair with. Sarah's employer didn't trust Ashton, so she reported her missing. To say that Jack was suspicious of Ashton Rogan would be like calling the Atlantic Ocean some water. After Jack talked to Sarah's boss, he drove directly to the Rogan home. He rang the doorbell, and a man answered the door.
Hey.
Can I help you?
The man asked.
Are you Ashton Rogan?
Maybe.
Ashton said.
It depends on who's asking.
No. Mr. Rogan, I'm Detective Jack Leon. I'd like to speak to you about your wife. Would you mind if we go inside?
Sure.
Thanks.
They stepped inside, but Ashton didn't move more than a few feet from the front door. He folded his arms across his chest and said,
How can I help you, Detective?
Jack decided to get right to the point.
Why didn't you report your wife missing, Mr. Rogan?
Ashton Rogan gave a short laugh.
Because Sarah's not missing. She took her laptop and some clothes and ran off with another guy. Sarah was always cheating on me and threatening to leave me. This time she followed through with her threat. And you know what? Good riddance.
Any idea who she may have been having an affair with? Or who she's with right now?
You should check out her ex-boyfriend, Brad McIntyre. She's probably with him.
All right, we'll look into that, Mr. Rogan. Thanks.
Jack said.
What was Sarah doing when you last saw her?
Listening to her records in the den. She pays for an online music subscription, but she always sat in the den and listened to her records.
Okay. Would you mind if I took a look?
Sure. I haven't been in the den since she left.
Is it unusual that you haven't been in a room in your house in the last several days?
No, I've never liked the den. It's dank and depressing. I like watching TV in the living room.
Jack was taken to the den, which was in the basement, and it wasn't as terrible as Jack was expecting. He thought it was kind of quaint. There was a turntable that sat on a stand. Jack noted that there was no record on the turntable. There were a dozen record sleeves on a shelf below the turntable. Jack decided to flip through the records, because you never know where clues might turn up. Jack noted that Sarah had eclectic taste. Jack noted that one of the records from the Beatles' White Album was missing from its sleeve. It was the second record of the double album. Jack scanned the room, and he did not see the missing record. Why would the record's jacket be there, but not the record? Jack continued to look around the den. There was a small bookshelf with about a dozen books on it. Just like the records, it confirmed to Jack that Sarah's taste in art was eclectic. The thought depressed Jack, because he got the sense that Sarah had a zest for life. Now, she may be dead. Jack then went over to a desk where it looked like Sarah's laptop had once sat. There were several pieces of paper on the desk. They were computer-printed spreadsheets. Jack thought,
That wasn't unusual because Sarah was an accountant.
One long, thin piece of paper on the desk did catch his eye. It looked like a receipt. There were a bunch of numbers written on it, except for one line. It looked like 3 letters instead of numbers. On the back of the piece of paper was the name Arnold, written in all capital letters, and then there were some letters and numbers. OL66069003M. Jack had no idea what any of it meant.
Sarah was an accountant, so writing could pertain to her work and have nothing to do with her disappearance.
Using his phone, Jack snapped several pictures of the den. He made sure he took photographs of the records, books, and both sides of the note. Jack then gave Ashton Rogan his business card.
Here. If you hear from your wife, please have her call me.
I will, but I'm not looking for Sarah. I don't want her back. You'll probably find her first, detective. When you do, you tell her she isn't welcome back home.
Well, we'll be talking soon, Mr. Rogan.
Jack said. Then he walked back to his car. Jack thought that the next time they would be talking, he would be putting handcuffs on Ashton's wrists. But Jack didn't have any evidence to prove that something bad had happened to Sarah Rogan, let alone that her husband Ashton did anything to her. Jack went back to his office and started working on the case. Hours later, he felt the blood drain from his face. He picked up the phone and said,
This is Jack Leon. I need a search warrant and a whole lot of backup.
What did Jack figure out?
Thanks a lot for watching today's video. We'll have the answer to this video next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. An hour later, we'll have a brand new mystery. Today's video featured special guest star Ben from the amazing and fascinating YouTube channel Top 5s. You can find a link to his channel in the description box below this video. Thanks again for watching, and good luck with your investigation.